Los Angeles, California, for this year's final installment of World Championship Boxing. Tonight, one of the sport's greatest and most compelling personalities, 51-year-old Bernard Hopkins, following 28 years as a professional prize fighter, has asserted tonight's fight against Joe Smith Jr. will be his last. But before that, we get our triple header begun with Alexander Usik of Ukraine as he defends his cruiserweight title against Табисо Mchunu of South Africa. And then, in our middle bout, undefeated 24-year-old featherweight prospect Joseph Diaz Jr. squares off with Horacio Garcia. And hello again, everybody, and welcome to this special World Championship Boxing edition from Los Angeles, California. I'm Jim Lampley. The unusual nature of tonight's telecast is defined in the following fact. There are 3 fights, 6 prize fighters. 5 of those fighters are making their HBO debuts this evening. The 6th fighter, Bernard Hopkins, is appearing on HBO for the 23rd time in his career. So tonight is about Hopkins' farewell and a very interesting matchup in the main event between Hopkins and hard-punching Joe Smith. But we're going to start the evening off in a rare visit to the cruiserweight division. And the reason is the presence of a potential rising star in that division, Alexander Usik, who won the Olympic gold medal as a heavyweight in London in 2012 and in 10 professional fights has already won a cruiserweight title. He is very close friends with fellow Ukrainian Vasily Lomachenko, who's made such a splash in a short period of time. Now he's doing the same thing, having won a cruiserweight title in a record short period of time, only his 10th professional fight. Across the ring from Usik is his opponent for the evening, Табисо Mchunu of South Africa. He says that his father was a professional fighter with a 12-fight pro record, began boxing at age 7, was stopped in both losses, and that may be the key statistic in the fight. 17 wins. He's regarded as a defensive specialist, but he was knocked out in both of his losses, and Usik has big punching power. Let's take a look at the tail of the tape now for Usik and Mchunu, and you can see that Usik, like the other Ukrainian stars, Lomachenko and Vosdik, began his professional career relatively late at age 27, so therefore at 29 has already had 10 professional fights. He's got a 4.5-inch height advantage over Mchunu, a 1-inch arm length advantage measured from the armpit to the end of the fist. They both weighed in under 200 pounds, and unofficially Usik has rehydrated up to an unofficial 2-pound weight advantage over Mchunu as they enter the ring. Let's go to ring announcer Joe Martinez for the official introductions.
From the fabulous forum here in Inglewood, California. Ladies and gentlemen, a very good evening and welcome to an exciting night of World Championship Boxing live worldwide on HBO. And here we go, fight fans, with our first bout of the evening, 12 rounds. This scheduled for the WBO Cruiserweight Championship of the World. This bout is presented by K2 Promotions and Main Events, sponsored by Tecate, Born Bold, and Casa Mexico Tequila. It's in the taste. Your 3 judges scoring this bout at ringside, Kermit Bayless, Jonathan Davis, and Levi Martinez. When the bell rings, your referee in charge of the action, Hall of Famer Dr. Lou Moran. Introducing to you first, fighting out of the blue corner. Wearing white, trimmed in red and black, he weighed officially 198.5 pounds. In 19 professional bouts, his record stands at 17 victories, 2 defeats, 11 wins coming by way of knockout. Here is the challenger from KwaZulu-Natal, South Africa, Табисо "The Rock" Mchunu. And next his opponent across the ring, fighting out of the red corner. Wearing black trunks, he weighed in 199.5 pounds. In 10 professional bouts, he stands perfect with 10 victories, no defeats, 9 wins coming by way of knockout. In 2012, he captured Olympic gold for Ukraine. He fights out of and represents Simferopol, Ukraine. Here is the undefeated, reigning, defending WBO Cruiserweight Champion of the World, Alexander Usik.
Let's go. Okay, gentlemen, I give you instruction in the dressing room. Let's have a good, clean fight. Turn to your corner and wait the bell. Good luck.
James Ali Bashir is a longtime assistant to Emmanuel Stewart, the late great Emmanuel Stewart, one of the greatest trainers ever and our former colleague. And he trains Usik now. Usik is thought to be a rising star in boxing. When he heard that this was the opponent, Mchunu, he said, why did it have to be this guy for his debut on HBO? This is a really tough and awkward assignment. Usik is a gold medalist, outstanding, dominant international amateur, and now a dominant champion.
And this division, the cruiserweight division, has been stereotyped to a certain degree in the past as a puncher's division. Usik does have punching power, but he is a boxer first. And Roy, he comes in throwing an average of about 50 jabs per round, maybe one of the most effective jabbers in the sport. Similar in that regard to Gennady Golovkin, who sets up his power punching with an extremely prolific jab.
Yeah, Usik is very tall for this weight class, a very rangy guy, already speaking about going up to the heavyweight division. Knows that he has a very crafty guy in front of him, so right now he's trying to feint him, set him up for that right hook if he can. Unfortunately, The Rock is not really going for it yet, so, I mean, it's a great boxing class going on right now.
Two southpaws, two natural counter punchers, so it's a matchup of boxing skill. Both can crack, although Usik is the one who's regarded as having real knockout power.
Usik is such a talent, was such a talent as an amateur and so far as a pro, that the hope is that he can dominate this division and move up in short order and join this new exciting heavyweight division that we're now hopefully in the midst of.
Big strong guy began bouncing in his corner before the opening bell. When asked about his fighting style, Usik says, I'm a player. I'm in there to play. I use my feet to set up the opponent, and I like to have fun.
And that he does. Good hook by Mchunu.
That didn't look too fun.
No, it didn't look fun at all. Mchunu has gotten a little respect early from Usik.
You can see the awkwardness because of the height, which he makes his advantage, Roy Mchunu.
Yeah, that's what makes it so awkward, Max. He's a southpaw. He's short. Most people think that they can reach him, and he can't reach them, but it's not like that's really not the case. We saw Usik go at him just now and back up and think that he was out of range, but Mchunu still landed a little short right hook.
I remember watching big heavyweights try to deal with Levi Billups, who was simply too short for them to line up the right angle and land a shot against him.
Makes it very difficult to reach down at a guy all night.
Orlin Norris, too, who was a very good cruiserweight, Terry Norris's older brother, and a good heavyweight. But Orlin Norris was much more conventional than this.
Much more. And what I like about Usik is that he's so smart that he hasn't even let a single left hand go yet, because he wants to wait until he gets that one opening and then shock Mchunu with it.
In other words, he doesn't want to throw a left until it's going to matter.
Until it's going to definitely land. He's not throwing a left hand this round.
Remarkable.
Good first round. Be patient, don't be too eager. Work behind your jab and stay to your left side. You see your shake is working for you. Keep shaking them like that there. Work your jab, stay outside to your left side. You understand? Keep moving to your left. Keep pumping your jab. Stay on the side to your left side. Stay, be patient. Don't run into nothing. You're boxing good. Keep it up.
So, Roy, I noticed your close friend, Russ Anber, is the cut man. And number 2 guy in Usik's corner. Did you get a chance to talk to Russ about Usyk?
Yes, I did. He said Usik is a very talented guy, very strong puncher, very skilled boxer, a guy who he thinks a lot of, thinks very highly of him, thinks he'll have a good run as a cruiserweight, and then thinks he'll move up to heavyweight and also continue that run. You know, he comes from that school of what they call it, Papachenko.
Papachenko, Lomachenko's father, who is such an extraordinary trainer, apparently, that the Ukrainian fighters from that Olympic team credit him with the dominance of Ukrainian amateur boxing.
Well,
Five medals in London.
Yeah, they never had that many gold medal winners before he became the trainer, so who else could you credit?
Amazing. You know, there's a history in boxing of really good, super talented, even all-time great fighters having trouble with short, little, awkward guys, dating back to Jack Dempsey's struggle against a guy named Fat Willie Meehan, all the way through Roy Jones with Montel Griffin, who was an excellent fighter, but a short, awkward fighter who gave you more problems than you were used to in your first fight with him. And Usik, I can see why Bashir was a little hesitant about this fight, because Usik is looking something less than his billing right now.
Well, see, now you're bringing up old stuff, Max, but let me just go into First of all, he didn't give me a problem in my first fight with him. It's just that I was going to let him use his patience. I would use my patience to wear him down, because I knew that in the late rounds he would fade.
Well, he won like 3 rounds from you at a time where no one ever won a minute from you.
True, but what it was that he was a counterpuncher just as I was. I was the champion, so why should I go give him the opportunity to counter me when I'm the one with the belts and I know that
Meantime, when you got serious, you knocked him out in 1 round in the rematch.
Right. That's what I'm trying to tell you. So had I got serious the first night, I wouldn't have to go through that. So it's a little different than this case.
Montel Griffin, a silver medalist, by the way.
Yeah, he's a good fighter now. Very good fighter. And when you find a short guy that can counterpunch, that makes him really effective. And that's what makes this guy, The Rock, such a good fighter, because he's short, but he can counter like he's a tall guy.
Табисо Mchunu launching a left hand causes Alexander Usik to back up. Usik, with 40 seconds to go in round 2, is still almost all jabs. Hasn't unleashed the left hand much at all. And Mchunu has been able to land a couple of times upstairs. There's a good straight jab by Mchunu. Couple of body shots. He's perhaps done more damage early than Usik has been able to do.
Yes, he has. Right now he has the lead on Usik in my eyes, but Usik just trying different things, trying to set up a big shot to see can he hurt Mchunu and see can he get him some respect.
Usik was the underdog when he went to Poland this summer to take on Krzysztof Glowacki for the cruiserweight crown, and he dominated Glowacki en route to a 12-round unanimous decision. We kick off the new year in the ring on January 28th with a Boxing After Dark doubleheader featuring Francisco Vargas defending his 130-pound title against Miguel Berchelt. On that same card, Takashi Miura, Vargas's dance partner in the 2015 Fight of the Year, faces Mickey Roman. Francisco Vargas, quite possibly the most entertaining fighter in boxing at this moment.
He's definitely one of them, Jim.
Boxing nice, keep it going.
Good jab, good jab.
Better boxing than
Let him get frustrated. He got everything to prove. He'll be smart.
better than better boxing. Keep concentrating.
41-year-old Sean Smith runs a gym in Johannesburg, and a few years ago, Табисо Mchunu, who comes from a much smaller town in an agricultural area of South Africa, was looking for a gym with more population, better sparring partners, a chance to improve, and he walked into Sean Smith's life. Smith has been his trainer and manager ever since. CompuBox numbers on total punches landed through the first couple of rounds. Mchunu with a slight edge over the heavily favored Alexander Usik.
Mchunu doing a good job of leaning back on that back foot, making Usik reach, Roy, and then countering him with this crisp little lead right hand.
Yeah, that's what makes it impressive, Max, and that's what also makes it so awkward for a guy like Usik, because a short man that can counter you is a really dangerous thing, because you never know when he's going to counter. You think you're out of range and you're not. I mean, he does things that completely throws you off, and that's what Mchunu is doing here to Usik. He's not showing Usik anything.
Makes it hard for Usik to take the initiative, because when he leads, he's missing and he's out in front. Open to counters.
Usik beginning to find the target just a little bit more consistently. And Mchunu steps in and fires to the body.
Usik felt that right hand again.
Yeah, he did. And Usik has a good jab, but he's not using it enough, Max. Right there, you see he's allowing Mchunu to get close to him with the hook. When you're that tall, you have to use that jab and keep your distance. He's not keeping his distance with his jab. That's a very dangerous thing for a taller fighter.
There's something about the rhythm, or lack of same, in African fighters, which tends to confuse opponents, particularly South African fighters, who seem to fight in a sort of staccato, offbeat rhythm that throws other fighters' timings off, Roy.
Yeah, his rhythm throws everybody off, and it's because they don't know when he's coming and when he's not. He fights in a sporadic pace like that. You never know when he's going to just counter you or when he's going to take the lead on you. And right there, Usik thought he had a left hand, but was afraid to throw it because he knew that might have been a counter behind it.
And wound up getting hit on the cheek by a right hand from Mchunu.
Well, that's a cute little right hand that Mchunu throws that may be carrying the fight so far. Jim, I think to your point, various regions of the world have their own styles and rhythms to their style. Eastern European has a kind of rhythm that throws off a lot of American fighters, and maybe also South African.
Well, this is not typical South African, I don't think.
That's right.
This kid is a real good boxer. He's a cute boxer. You don't really see that from South Africa. Usually we see guys who come to war from South Africa, and he's not that type of a guy. He's a James Toney type, slick, up and down with the waistline, you know. I mean, he's very difficult to hit. He's different. I
think also that the world is the styles are becoming more homogenized as there's kind of a cross-pollination of styles, or pollination, sorry, of styles as trainers jump from country to country and fighters train all over the world as well.
I agree, Max. Right here we see Mchunu coming, out on this right hook, constantly landing, giving Usik problems. There's one, there's another one. Never no real power on it, but just enough, the right jab right there. The right jab again, just enough of the right hand to cause problems. The right jab a third time. A short right jab on the way in from the shorter fighter. How is the shorter man out jabbing the taller man? That's the problem in the fight.
It is fascinating, and Mchunu so far has landed one more punch by CompuBox count than has Usik, but is landing at a significantly higher percentage, 30% as opposed to 19%. So the rhythm of the fight early seems to favor Табисо Мчуну.
And it's not even a long jab like Kwawi.
Right.
Or a bazooka like Quartet.
No, it's a short jab that he almost backhands at times and looks like he could turn into a hook whenever he wants.
Round 4 begins. Harold, how did you score the first 3 rounds?
Okay, Jim, I got it 2 rounds to 1. 29-28 Табисо Mchunu. You know, Jim, in rounds 1 and 2, Mchunu was the only guy in there fighting. I mean, he was landing good, solid shots. Usik was doing nothing more than pouring with that right jab. In round 3, I thought Usik opened up. He sort of, got the idea of how Mchunu fights, and he started throwing his left hand in addition to that right jab. 2 rounds to 1, Табисо Mchunu.
Harold makes a good point, Roy Jones, that Usik unleashed the left hand in the 3rd round, and he's throwing the left again here in the 4th round. So Usik begins to get a little bit freer with his punch output as round 3 goes into round 4.
Yeah, Jim, but the thing you don't like about it is that right now it looks like his hardest punch is his right jab, and that's not a good thing because there go a good shot. Now he's throwing a good left hand because he needs to get respect from Mchunu, or he's going to.
Mchunu has also taken away one of the things that Usik talked about going into this fight. He said he likes to play. He is a fighter who thrives off that rhythm of having fun because he's a performer and he's usually dominant. Roy, you were like that. Lomachenko is kind of like that at times nowadays. Really athletic fighters who are able to dominate their opponents can kind of put on a show, and Mchunu is not letting him do it.
Well, that's why the trainer doesn't like Mchunu as an opponent, because Mchunu is not going to allow you to play around with him. He's going to be dead serious. He's going to like that. He's going to be right on top of things. Now, Usik throwing some real punches. But Mchunu is right on top of everything that he does, and it doesn't allow you to play, because if you play, he'll catch you slipping and you'll be laying down.
In the first couple of rounds, Usik was thrown off enough by Mchunu's timing that he wasn't even really trying to counter Mchunu's shots. In the last 2 rounds, and most particularly in the last minute, he's been countering freely and starting to land that left hand, as you saw him do over the top there.
Yes, just landed a really good left hand.
He also just threw a left hand that was about a foot short, and it looked like he was anticipating Mchunu's rhythm, hoping to catch him coming in, and Mchunu's head just wasn't there.
Oh, good shot by Mchuno. Good counter left. That's what I mean when I say he doesn't give you an opportunity to play much.
I thought Usik may have parried it with his shoulder.
And we remind you, while we watch the first of our 2 preliminary bouts, the focus of the evening is on Bernard Hopkins in the main event. After losing his pro debut in 1988, Hopkins rattled off 22 straight victories, appearing mostly in small venues away from the spotlight of network television. Then in May of 1993, he got the call to face Roy Jones for a vacant middleweight title. Though he lost that fight, that night would prove the first of many landmark moments in Hopkins' illustrious career.
When I fought Roy Jones in '93 RFK Stadium, it was my opportunity on HBO under a heavyweight championship card.
Good combination by Roy Jones. Those flashy, fast hands, very, very difficult to deal with.
I didn't deliver. That was a really, really tough time for me in my adjustment of that high level of fighting.
You can just see that Jones is just outsmarts him. It's like cat and mouse.
There's a pattern in my DNA that shows that I know how to correct myself and never look back. And I took that fight and never looked back.
Bernard Hopkins fought Roy Jones on the undercard of a Riddick Bowe title defense in RFK Stadium in Washington in 1993. And then, Roy, the 2 of you fought again a long time later, and those were 2 entirely different kinds of fights. But in the first fight, was his inexperience a big difference against you?
No, it wasn't. It was the same thing as usual as my hand speed. My hand speed and my knowledge of the game. I was far more sophisticated as far as knowledge goes in the game at that age than he was. He had fought and had a lot of experience, but my knowledge was different and my hand speed was different.
Because he didn't have a long amateur career at the height of the amateur world as you did. That was a privilege that was not available to Bernard because of the years that he spent in Graterford prison.
Well, that was, but at the same time when he got out, he was beating a lot of guys and he was doing his thing. So I was kind of knowing that we were on the same level, except my hands were quicker.
Meanwhile, Usik is doing his thing here in the 5th round as he is suddenly demonstrably way more comfortable in there and way more adept at finding the target against Mchunu.
Yes, he's starting to touch and land those big punches. I think he got Mchuno's respect now, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, he figured something out in the last round, it looks like, that he's employing here. I think he's figured out Mchunu's rhythm, where his head's going to be for the left hand.
Because he just landed about 3 times this round already.
And there's Mchunu making an interesting adjustment, Roy. He's like, oh, he's figured me out when I'm on my back foot. Let me get inside a little bit.
Yeah, as he was throwing those uppercuts, Usik was backing up and looking at the uppercuts as if to say, this is something new. Usik much more comfortable in the fight now. Mchunu trying to shock him.
Usik has to be careful, though, Jim. He's throwing shots that are really not big shots. And if Mchunu throws a big right overhand left, it could be a problem because he's taller, and that's the best shot to catch a taller southpaw with.
Mchunu's a good fighter, but class tells over time, and Usik is trying to be a great fighter. And these are the kind of, these are the rounds where the class generally starts to tell, the middle of the fight.
Yes.
Power punches in round 5. Usik about to triple Mchunu in terms of landed power shots here.
Yeah, Usik waking up now. Good shot by Usik.
Terrific 1-2.
10 seconds.
And you saw the hand speed for a big man on that 1-2. Getting to be a much easier fight now for Alexander Usik as we complete round 5.
Now he's ready. Now start turning the uppercuts. Off the double jab. Off the double jab. Uppercut with the same right hand. Double jab. Double jab. Feint the left hand. Shake the left hand. Throw the right uppercut. Double jab. Shake the left hand like you're going to throw it and fire the right uppercut, then the left hand. Right uppercut, left. You're doing a good job.
He see Usik with it behind the jab. Find a good left jab, then a good short double followed by a great straight left over the top. That's what he's been trying to find. Then followed by a right hook. That's the left hand he's been trying to land all night.
CompuBox numbers in round 5. Usik landed 23 out of 68 punches. Mchunu 6 out of 32. So that's a much stronger round for Usik than the rounds we had seen up to that point. Significant shift in momentum in the fight. And increasingly, there's a chance that we'll see why there's so much enthusiasm about Alexander Usik.
One of the things, it's a mixed bag with Usyk's left hand to me as a power punch out of the southpaw stance, guys. On the one hand, he's able to land it. He adjusts it mid-flight and he slaps with it if he has to, but he's able to land it accurately. On the other hand, because of that, I don't see him really ever throw it straight from the shoulder, Roy, and really get his weight behind it.
No, I haven't seen him throw but one like that all night, Max, and I think he waits until he's assured that he's going to land it, then he turns it over like that. Meanwhile, he's like Lomachenko. They go at a good 80 until they find that 120 time. When they find the right time to throw that 120-mile-an-hour pitch, they pitch it. Meanwhile, they just throw an 80 or a 90-mile-an-hour pitch until they find the opening, like that. So he threw the right hook, speed it up then. He knew the left wasn't going to land, but the right hook he put a little bit more mustard on because he expected it to land.
And those are the kinds of nuances you pick up over the course of a long amateur career.
Over the course of a long amateur career or over the course of a great trainer.
Which in his case would be his exposure to Anatoly Lomachenko, although, as Max pointed out at the beginning of the fight, James Ali Bashir, who has been his trainer since the beginning of his pro career, is no slouch.
No, not at all.
I mean, that's really good hand speed and accuracy
for a big guy.
Cruiserweight.
Yes.
6'2" guy, southpaw. That's impressive.
He just turned the mustard on one of those left hands again, too, Max.
Yep.
Like that right there. Yeah.
He's suddenly putting a lot of distance between himself and Tabiso Mchunu. I mean, this is a whole different fighter than the guy we were looking at in the first couple of rounds. And now Mchunu comes back with an unimpeded left counter shot, but that's all right. Usik is in charge.
Yes.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8. How you feel?
Mchunu has been stopped in both of his losses, and he appears to be getting worn down here now as Usik is throwing freely.
Yes, he let
in round 6.
He let Usik go around him too much, let Usik land too many big shots in this round early, so now Usik is out in front of him.
Mchunu can handle himself, though. Like, he's still clipping Usik every now and then enough to stop Usik from just running him over here. Good left hand.
First knockdown of the fight in this round. Mchunu gets in a couple of strong shots down the stretch, but overall it was another big round for Alexander Usik.
Let's go, my man. No, it's tough now. He's going flat out. You're hanging there. Where's the spit bucket? Where's the spit bucket?
Take that thing out.
Yeah.
Shout out to Danny Treble. Also sitting next to Danny Treble, this is for La Raza.
Just as we were speaking about Bashir, speaking about the uppercut in the corner, that left uppercut right there is what really caused the knockdown. The left hand was to the back of the head. That didn't do any damage. This uppercut that The trainer asked for early. He asked for the opposite uppercut, but that left uppercut landed instead of the right, and that was the shot that really put Mchunu down.
So referee Moret counted for the first knockdown of the fight in round number 6. Now we go to the 7th. Harold Letterman, how do you have it halfway through?
Okay, Jim, I got it 4 rounds to 2. 58-55, Alexander Usik. You know, Jim, in round 6, he scored a knockdown. He gets an extra point. So that becomes a 10-8 round in Usyk's favor. But you were right. The first 2 rounds and the last 4 is the 2 different fights. Usik just does nothing but feel you out for 2 rounds. And then he opened up in the 3rd, and he's been just taking over this fight. Jim, watch the movement Usik gives you. He gives you a whole lot of movement, setting up his shots. 4 rounds to 2, Alexander Usik.
Good quick right uppercut by Mchunu.
Gotta have more of that, Jim, though. He's not doing it enough.
Trying to reestablish himself in the fight after a very tough round 6.
Good counter left by Mchunu. Gotta love how Usik places those punches. He places the taps with tap speed, but he throws the big ones with big speed.
At the top levels of boxing, the question is, if you're not like a devastating seek and destroy knockout artist like Triple G or Kovalev or someone like that, or Chocolatito, the question is, are you giving people something to watch? Now, this has not been the most action-packed fight, but the answer for me with Usik is yes, absolutely. He's giving you something good to watch. If you're a fan of boxing, you will like watching Usik fight.
Well, I think Harold may have hit the nail on the head. It's the movement. You know, you just don't see a big guy like this who's this light on his feet and capable of switching directions and shifting gears the way he does. And he's got movement with both his hands and his feet. Moves with his upper body. Slips punches with his head. There are a lot of good things to be said about his ability to fight.
Those good pity-pat punches until it's time to throw the big ones. You gotta love that. Another good left by Mchunu.
It's hard to imagine fighting a guy much more awkward than Mchunu. And Usik has already scored 2 knockdowns, and the fight has gotten better in each progressive round.
And the difference in power punches landed proceeds from the fact that Mchunu is very demonstrably trying to land 1 punch at a time, and Usik is piling up combinations with greater and greater frequency.
Yeah, I think Mchunu's power's gone, Jim.
I said 2 knockdowns. 1 was ruled a slip.
Looking ahead, December 27, it's the premiere of Boxing's Best of 2016. Spend your holiday reliving the sport's biggest stars, taking part in some of the best and most significant fights of the year. And Wednesday, December 28, in the middle of all that, it's the year-end edition of my show, The Fight Game. We review the year in the ring and hand out our annual awards, including Fight and Fighter of the Year.
He's done. Ref, watch out for the forearm. You know?
No punch and ball.
No, you could.
Okay, okay, thanks.
Yeah.
What a hoop has got. He's put his best on you. Ask something from him. Take something to him, boy. Come.
Round 8 of Schedule 12. Olympic gold medalist Alexander Usik of Ukraine in the black and white trunks against Табисо Mchunu of South Africa in the white with red and black trim. Usik seemed to give away the first couple of rounds, or Mchunu claimed them with stern counterpunching. But since that time, Usik has been landing combinations, piling up a lead. There's something playful.
Has quick hands for a big man, Jim. That's what I like to see about Usik. Very good hands, very good pity-pat speed punches. I like that.
Everything plays off that quick right jab. She throws with great frequency.
Yeah.
Now there's a left across the top. Quick right hook. Usik landing punches in bunches once again. There's a couple of quick counter shots from Mchunu, and Usik looks at him as if to say, the impudence of you landing those 2 counter shots in the middle of me putting on a show here.
Yeah, he said, what are you doing?
This was my moment to put on a show. And you hit me. Big left hand over the top by Usik, but Mchunu comes back with another right hand shot. Good fight.
Good defense by Mchunu.
Yeah, Mchunu has exceptional defense, Max. I must give him credit there. I mean, exceptional defense. If he was a little bit more offensive here, he probably could be an issue, but not really throwing a lot of punches because Usik making him keep his hands at home by throwing the pity pats and stepping around left and stepping around right. Beautiful boxing that Usik is doing.
Mchunu's defense probably frustrated Usik the first 2 or 3 rounds. Since then, the Ukrainian star has found a way to have fun.
And it's hard against a guy like Mchunu, but see those punches right there? That left hand had all the mustard on it. That's what I mean when I say he can change speed with his punches.
Even the way Mchunu holds his elbows, you're dissuaded from going to the body because it's like, you know, your forearm's going to run into an elbow.
Well, he's a short guy, too, and with that cup being up over his navel, there's not much room there to throw to the body.
So Usik has largely ignored the body.
Of course he has.
For the bell.
Also here in tonight's match, ladies and gentlemen.
You listen to me. He doesn't like it there. Every time you punch, you hurt him. Listen. Tell you something. You're a man, he's a man. Let's go. You don't let him break you down. You ready? He's a better boxer than you. So what's wrong? Let's go, boy. This looks very beatable. Let me tell you. Yes.
Cut the ring down. Don't follow him. Cut the ring down. Walk to him with the guard up. Walk to him and punch. He's dead. He's just trying to survive now. Body shots, start to the body, and finish on top.
He see Usik land a good round left to the back. Tried to do another, then he got hit with a beautiful right hook right there. A little bit open hand, but it was beautiful. And he steps back as to say, well done. All of that, and I get caught with that left hand. I don't like it.
I love the look on his face.
He said, well done.
The nerve of you. This is my show.
Usik's a guy who idolizes Muhammad Ali.
Born on his birthday.
Right,
Yep.
and in and out of the ring idolizes Ali, and you can see some of the showmanship there, but again, hard to be that kind of showman against an awkward guy.
And before you have to Google Ali's birthday, it's January 17th.
A day after mine.
Started to
Body
say.
punches.
Same day as the great Bernard Hopkins.
Yeah.
Lots of good fighters right around there.
Some of the best.
Usik doing some good body work in this round.
Yes, he is, and good pivoting, too. He pivots around with that left uppercut and it comes with the right hook right down the middle. I love it.
Capricorn is the star fighter's astrological sign.
Well, of course, Jim. I mean, come on. If you're a Capricorn, I mean, if we celebrate, I mean, you know, I ain't going to say too much, but Capricorns is what it is, you know? Like the most philosophical sign on the planet.
Famous philosophical Capricorn, Roy Jones.
You know? Doesn't get any better than that.
And Usik, a Capricorn in this fight, has knocked Mchunu down for the second time. So there's the second official knockdown, and the score margin is beginning to widen here.
Yeah, and that's more fatigue than anything.
I think Mchunu went down because Usik surrounded him. He had him surrounded, and Mchunu said, let me get down here before I land the punch.
Good counter shot by Mchunu.
Another good shot.
He hasn't given up yet.
No, he hasn't. Oh, good shot. Oh,
Usik
good
lands
shot.
a big left over the top.
Oh, good body shot by Mchunu. Now a real fight is breaking out, Jim.
Mchunu has done his best fighting of the fight in the last 20 or 30 seconds. After going down for the second time, and there's the third knockdown. And now Lumaret is going to stop the fight.
That does it.
So Alexander Usik has a TKO victory over Tabiso Mchunu.
It's a very impressive performance by Usik against a guy who wasn't cooperating, who stayed trying to win, who's not easy to hit, with a very awkward rhythm. Most fighters don't look that good against a guy like that.
And Usik shows sportsmanship, going over to check on Mchunu and help him up. And now Usik plays to the crowd a little bit. Harold?
Jim, you know, I've said this to referees on numerous times. When a guy gets knocked down, like Mchunu got knocked down here the first time, and he gets up and he walks away, very often that means he don't want to fight no more. If you see a guy walk away like that, turn his back away from the referee and walk away, he wants to quit. That's the time when Lumaret should have really thought about stopping it.
Great point, Harold. Let's take another look.
Yeah, here we see Usik coming in, jab, 1-2 basically, another 1-2. Double jab, left hand, and he goes down. Really wasn't hit with a shot, just was fatigue. And I thought fatigue right there was doing it, so he came in with his last hurrah, got caught with that left hand right there, and that cut his eye, and then he went down. That put a bad gash over his right eye.
At that time, it was all Alexander Usik en route to the TKO. And let's go to ring announcer Joe Martinez for the official particulars on the technical knockout.
Right here, boom, that was the left hand right there that did it.
Joe Martinez.
Ladies and gentlemen, the end comes at the official time. 1 minute, 53 seconds, round number 9. Referee Dr. Lumaret puts a halt to the bout. Your winner by KO victory. He is still undefeated and still WBO Cruiserweight Champion of the World, Alexander Usik.
So let's take a look at combi box numbers in this fight. Total punches, Usik landing almost, well, a little bit more than twice as many punches as Mchunu, and throwing almost twice as many punches, and landing at a significantly higher connect percentage, 32 to 27. Power punches, Usik landing more than twice as many, landing at the 47% rate, which is 3% off of the magic number, 50%. You're in the neighborhood. And Mchunu got in some really good shots early in the fight, gradually wore down from there en route to his final numbers, which were well short of those of Alexander Usik. One fight in the books here in Los Angeles.